When you look at the strengths of LaMelo Ball, the big one that always will stand out is his passing skill. He is one of the most gifted passing prospects I have ever seen. He's just as good as his brother when it comes to his ability to pass a basketball. I think he's one of the best passers in the world. You just see him making all kinds of throws, and you see him making all these passes, and it's a really good assist-to-turnover ratio, 2.73, which is impressive for a guy who's only 18 years old. The second thing is his size, obviously, because he's 6'7", because he is that tall and is taller than your average point guard. It does give him ability to shoot over a defender, and he isn't necessarily a great scorer at all. We'll talk about that in his weaknesses, but he does show flashes to me of a guy who can be a 25 plus point per game scorer. They're very small flashes of it. I think it's closer to 20 points per game, like 17 to 25. But 25 plus is not out of the question if he puts it all together in the right situation. But, you know, a guy that just does a lot of things really well on the offensive, and also is a really good rebounder because of his size, average 7.6 rebounds. I think he's going to be like his brother early on in the league, where it's like they average like 13, 7, and 7. And I think they'll just grow from that. A really good rebounding guard. So he rebounds well for his position. He's an elite passer and has scoring potential. So, again, only player in this draft I believe has superstar potential. I'll explain why, despite him being the only one with superstar potential, why I don't have him as my number one player later on. But overall, his offensive upside and what you watch in him and when you see him play, it's really special. You don't see guys who are 18 years old, you know, with that kind of height and those kind of passing skills. Like, the names that you could say that were doing that at 18, I would be killed for saying when comparing him to. For as many things LaMelo Ball does well, he does have some glaring weaknesses, and the first one being his defense. It's the biggest one for me. He does get steals, he does play passing lanes, things like that. However, he does gamble for steals, sometimes he just seems disengaged. This has been really just a big problem with him, like, from the jump. I don't know if he'll improve on that. I don't know if he necessarily has the elite athleticism to be an elite defender, but I do think that he could be a bit of a disruptor if he kind of remains focused. I think the goal for him is to be an above average defender. I think he could be that if he puts the work in and he pays more attention to that side of the ball. But it is a bit of a concern. Steal numbers and block numbers don't tell the whole story. Like, when you watch him play, he just seems so disengaged on that end of the floor. And when he is engaged, he does seem to gamble way too much. Other thing is his efficiency. Again, shot only 37.5% from the field, shot only 25% from 3, had an effective field goal percentage of 42.5, and had a true shooting percentage of 45.9. Both are atrocious. Again, for as many signs that he shows of a guy who could potentially average 25 plus points a game in the league, there are plenty of signs of bad shot selection, shot chucking, forcing the issue, things like that. And I think over time he can improve on that, but he will need to if he really wants it close to his ceiling. And the thing I think is really telling, and this will determine if he becomes a good scorer and becomes that 25 plus point per game scorer, I think he even has potential to be, is if he can get to the line a lot. He only got to the line 3.9 times in the NBL this year. He has a slight frame. He only weighs about 180 to 190 pounds at 6'7". You really want to see a guy who's 6'7" to be closer to 200 to 210 pounds, maybe even more than that. So having a slight frame, he's going to get pushed around a little bit. Mentally tough kid. I don't think that's necessarily the problem. It's not like he's afraid of contact, but he just doesn't deal with contact well. It affects his ability to finish, and that great touch he has. He has a great touch around the rim, but it really doesn't matter if his shot's affected that much because he can't handle contact that well. But, the weaknesses, they're well out there. They're very noticeable weaknesses. a lot to do with shot selection, like Anthony Edwards, and other things that Anthony Edwards doesn't struggle with, and that they are weaknesses. Like Anthony Edwards doesn't struggle with dealing with contact. I think LaMelo Ball does struggle with dealing with contact. He's not as ready for the NBA as Anthony Edwards is. And but I will explain why I have Anthony Edwards ahead of him later. But these are just weaknesses I see. Some of them are noticeable. Some of them aren't. The defense, it's bad, not as bad as some people would like it to say it is, but it is still pretty bad. But other than that, you know, I don't think it's enough, though. His weaknesses aren't enough to overshadow his skills. Overall, I think LaMelo Ball has the most potential in this draft. He's the only player in this draft that I believe has superstar potential. He has potential to be a guy that averages around 25 plus points a game and 10 plus assists per game in this league. He's one of the best passers I've ever seen as a prospect. He's just as good, if not better, than his brother as a prospect, and his brother was a pretty special prospect in his own right. He has so much potential. But the reason I don't have him number one on my board and I have Anthony Edwards ahead of him is the chances of Anthony Edwards reaching his ceiling, I feel, are significantly higher than the chances of LaMelo reaching his ceiling as a superstar. I think it's more realistic that LaMelo Ball ends up being on the same level as Anthony Edwards' ceiling than it is for LaMelo to reach his own ceiling, even if his ceiling's higher than Anthony Edwards. I think that LaMelo Ball will be a guy that can be the lead playmaker on the best team, that can be a contender, but I don't think that he can be the best player, even if he has that potential. I just don't see him reaching that full potential. There's just too many things I see with the shot mechanics and all of that stuff that make me worry about him as a scorer. I think he can be a solid scorer with the potential to be a great scorer because he shows those flashes, but at the same time, I do think it's more realistic they end up being like a 17 to 20 point per game scorer. But it doesn't change the fact that he's the second best player in this draft, even if I don't feel like he can reach his full potential, because he's just that elite of a passer. He can be a guy that could score 0 points and he'll have like 15 assists and 8 rebounds to have a positive impact on the game. And I think that is something that is special. When you can impact the game without scoring a single basket, that's impactful. And I think LaMelo Ball can be that kind of player. I think that he's a bright future in basketball. He has a bright mind, high IQ. He's gone through a lot, obviously, a lot of drama. And it's just really going to be exciting to see where he goes. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much. It means so much to me, guys. You guys don't understand. But again, thank you. Like and subscribe if you're new. Feel free to leave feedback in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.